Over the years, you've heard me ask Wealth Manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
Your voice.
Your questions.
Your morning radio with Clement Manyathela.
This is 702.
All right, we have to move on now. We have to move on to a conversation that we are having this hour with the Johannesburg Mayor. If you remember, we have been doing this series. We have done it, in fact, last year as well, where we give you an opportunity to engage with mayors of your metros. And this is part of like the check-in that we're doing with several mayors. We started with the Ekurhuleni mayor. We had the mayor of Tshwane, Dr. Nasipi Moya. Today we're bringing you the mayor of Johannesburg in studio. And you can watch this conversation on YouTube as well. Just go to the 702 YouTube page. We've done this before, so it's very easy. This is an opportunity for you to engage as the citizens of this metro with your mayor. But it's also an opportunity for the mayor to also update us about some of the priorities that he has had for his office and how much work has been done so far. So if you want to join this chat, you can call on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. The Mayor of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, is in studio with us. Mayor, welcome to 702. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and how are you? Morning to your listeners.
Thank you so much for coming through. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
I want us to maybe start off with your priorities that you had announced, especially at the state of the city address. What are some of the priorities you've taken up in as far as the city is concerned, and how much work has been done so far since you've taken office?
Well, thanks for that. There are three key issues that we had committed ourselves to. One being bylaw enforcement and crime prevention, which related to us enforcing bylaws of the city, dealing with hijacked buildings, dealing with lawlessness generally in the city, dealing with illegal informal settlements, illegal street trading, and all those issues as part of bylaw enforcement. We also committed ourselves to improving the financial sustainability of the city, which is key for us to be able to deliver on our mandate. And of course, the last part that we're committed to do would have been around service delivery, which meant we need to ensure that we improve on services that we provide and ensure that when customers raise issues, we're able to respond timeously. So we're focused on that, which led to us implementing what we call high-impact service delivery programs. Even this morning, I'm from Ward 34 in Soweto, where we are doing a high-impact service delivery program, dealing with all services of the municipality. Just a few weeks ago, we went to Hyde Park in Ward 90 to do a high-impact service delivery, dealing with potholes, street lights, resurfacing of streets, etc., etc. So we're implementing, as we had made a commitment post the passing of the budget in May, that July is the month in which we start spending the budget, and these are the programs we are doing, and we are doing them effectively.
So in terms of the implementation of the services or the services that you provide, when you do an assessment, how are we doing there? I mean, is it 5 out of 10? Is it 3 out of 10? What's your assessment based on the services that you've been able to provide so far?
Well, in terms of the high-impact service delivery program, we can say that currently, if you look at Ward 90, where we're doing all the potholes, resurfacing, we're probably at about 8 to 10. What would be outstanding at the moment is addressing street lights, which is what we want to do now, but the roads we have done. We have not finished all of them, but work has been done in that area. Similarly, in Soweto, where we come from, the biggest thing that we have established, it's a sewer. So what has happened over the years, the infrastructure that was deployed in Soweto can no longer carry, does no longer have the capacity to carry the developments that has happened in Soweto, so the sewer pipes cannot carry. So we're experiencing a huge problem, especially in Ward 34, where I was. And we have therefore commissioned Joburg Water to look into the sewer challenges in not just in Ward 34, but in the entire Soweto. But they've already started with the work in Ward 34, and they're indicating that they should be able to complete the work just around February, because it requires almost changing the entire system, because the pipes there are smaller, because that area was a smaller area. Now it has increased, so they have to then increase the capacity of the pipes, because we are battling that. So give or take 8 to 10,
and that's
6
across
to 10.
That's across the city.
Across the city, yes, we could say probably about 8 to 10.
Okay.
There are challenges, and it remains, Clement, the bigger challenge remains infrastructure that is decayed, especially water, electricity, and bridges and roads. And that is why if you look at our budget this time around, we have allocated bulk of the budget, especially in capital expenditure, to focus in the main on infrastructure.
Maintaining the infrastructure.
Yes.
Why is that only happening this time around? In the past, what was happening?
I guess over time, historically, the maintenance budget would not have been probably sufficient to deal with it.
But why was it not
Secondly,
sufficient?
it could be the growth that has happened so rapidly, and that growth happened without taking into cognizance the infrastructure challenges that might be there. So I suppose those are the challenges that they had, and we've now increased our maintenance budget to 8%, with the view of increasing it to 10% in the next cycle. In that way, we think we'll probably have some sufficient budgets to be able to try and maintain the infrastructure in Joburg.
Why was it not sufficient in the first place? So what I'm asking
There
is
could
why?
have been challenges that the administration before us would have been faced with. It could have been a budget issue. It could have been a spending issue. There could have been a number of challenges that they had. But we took a view when we came in that the national norm says you must at least keep it at about 8%. And that's what we had to enforce in this budget this year. And it basically means we have to shift certain spending from one area to the other,
Which
to
would have
maintain.
happened even previously.
It could have
Is the point
happened,
I'm making that
but I suggest the administration then would have had their own challenges and their own expectations. With us, you remember that there was a lot of developments happening over time, but perhaps they focused on developments, and the maintenance could not come. But now we're experiencing the decay now.
We've been experiencing the decay. It
Which
doesn't
means
start now,
we have
man.
no. Perhaps it's overexposed now, and
But
we
it's
have to
been
deal
such
with
a
it.
challenge for so many years now.
Yeah, and
It's been a challenge for
remember,
many years.
Clement,
The issue of
Johannesburg was
infrastructure decay.
built years ago, around 1886. That's the birth of Johannesburg. And if you go around, you find that bulk of our infrastructure is over 50 years. And of course, it requires refurbishment. It requires
Maintenance.
replacement. And not just maintenance, of course. It requires replacements in some areas because it has been there for years. And that's the focus we're doing in this budget. So let's go in there, refurbish what we have to refurbish. We're also cognizant that the backlog is higher than what we have monetary-wise. So we must continue to also raise capital by collecting revenue and also raising money in the market to intervene in infrastructure refurbishment.
Yeah, it's just disheartening that there's a problem that is so simple. I mean, anybody who sees the infrastructure that has been decaying, that is getting old, and sees that the population is increasing, you look ahead and you plan ahead and you say, we need to spend more money on maintenance, for instance. So it's disheartening that in your administration that's starting now, and I'm not talking just to you now. I know there are other mayors that have been there before. It's sad to see that they've never anticipated that with a growing population, of course there are going to be challenges to our infrastructure. It needed to be maintained. So you've got to shift budget and funds so that you at least allocate some money for maintenance. Otherwise, we're dealing with a crisis that we're dealing with now, which is going to take even longer to resolve. I want to ask you now about informal settlements, before I go to the calls, because it's one of the issues that have been raised by some of our listeners. You've said before that you will no longer tolerate the rapid increase of informal settlements. I know you've started, I don't know if you've done demolitions in Ginger Park informal settlements in Sandton. What's the status of illegal informal settlements in the city, and how are you dealing with that?
Well, we've had a lot of informal settlements that are popping on every now and then, which is a problem because it also forces us now to find ways of availing resources and services that we do not have and we have not budgeted for. It also strains communities because some of them are just built anywhere, and it then translates into a nuisance affecting other residents because they don't take responsibility either for their waste or any other thing. So we then took a view that we have to deal with illegality and lawlessness in the city and curb this issue quite actively. Part of what we have now doing is to acquire court orders, because the courts require us to first have court orders before we can evacuate anyone from any of the illegal informal settlements. Now, we are busy with that process. I think at this stage we're sitting with about 12 court orders in the main, which are focusing on buildings. And now we're also starting a process to deal with Ginger Park and the other one just next to it to finalize the court orders. However, last week we went into a process of conducting a raid to deal with the following issues. One, those that are illegal and undocumented that are staying there. That is why there was Home Affairs, and we had a success of just over 15 people that were arrested for being illegal and undocumented. Yeah, just around 15. Remember, at the point where you arrive, others had disappeared. Okay. Perhaps they got a tip-off. Secondly, we dealt with, there were a number of shacks inside Ginger Park that were built, not occupied, empty. We dealt with those, we removed them because it meant that it's an expansion or it's a rental economy. What we have also established is that a lot of the Lesotho citizens, nationals, actually own, one person will own over 10 shacks, which he rents out, and most South Africans are renting to Lesotho nationals. And it's a problem in itself. But there are also social issues that requires us to address, because interacting with South African citizens, they would come from Soweto, they come from Alexander, and all over our townships who have settled there. And some of them, the argument is that they settle there because they work at Monte Casino. It's easier for them in terms of transport costs. So it was easier for them to settle there. They only pay about 400 rands for the shack. But we told them that is not justification for illegality, and part of what we have to do is to intervene as a government and say, how do we settle the working class so that they're not far from their places of work, so that at least the bulk of their income is not spent on transport. But that does never justifies any form of illegality, and they understood. And majority of them were pleading with us if we could find them an alternative place. So as part of the process is to find an alternative place for South African citizens, get the court order approved, and once that is done, that informal settlements will be closed. We will be going in there to close Ginger Park and remove South African citizens, find them alternative. At least the law in this case does not force us to find alternative accommodation for undocumented and illegal people. Therefore, Home Affairs will then assist to take them back to their countries of origin.
All right, it's 10:31.
Over the years, you've heard me ask Wealth Manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
23 minutes before 11 o'clock, we are hosting the Mayor of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, this morning. This is part of our check-in with the mayors. We've had the Mayor of Ekurhuleni so far and the Mayor of Tshwane. And what we try to do is bring them in so they can engage with you as a citizen of their metro. So you can raise with the mayors that we bring here the issues and concerns that you have in your metros, and they can also update you on their service delivery programs. And you can do so by calling us on 011-883-0702. If you've got any questions for Dada Morero, the Mayor of Johannesburg, WhatsApp's on 0727021702. Moshe, let's start with you. You're calling us from Alexandra. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and how are you?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
And good morning to the mayor himself.
Good morning.
I have a very big question for the mayor. I'm based in Alexandra. I'm born in Alexandra. I hear every time when the new mayor comes in, previous mayor has been here, everybody has mentioned things about changing things in Gauteng. I have never, ever had any mayor whatsoever coming with new plans for Alexandra. We have never seen anything, no changes whatsoever. Alexandra is actually becoming a dump of people for Johannesburg. Everyone that comes from anywhere, they end up in Alexandra for free living, no bylaws, nothing has been under control yet. What is the plan for the mayor for Alexandra?
Got it. Okay, so what's the plan for Alexandra? Let's take these two WhatsApp voice notes as well.
Hey Clement, good day to you and your guest there. I see the project for Lillian Ngoyi Street is bound to be finished quite soon, now in August apparently, according to the news, which is great to hear. But maybe we could just ask the mayor there why it costs 194 million rand to repair that street. I see it's 450 meters of street that works out to about R1 million per meter. To fix a road. I'm quite curious to understand the intensity and the cost. Please, if the mayor could answer that question, that'll be great. Thank you. Wesley Bryanston.
Hi, Clement. And hi to the mayor. Could you please ask the mayor if they have processes in place to go around the city to check for bylaw compliance? I know he said it's one of his priorities, but it always appears to me that the city is always on a back foot with this kind of issues. And I think if you had proper controls in place, if you had people doing inspections in and around the city, that it wouldn't cost the city as much to deal with some of these issues. Case in point is illegal connections, humans in informal settlements that seem to be mushrooming all over the city. But you never see anyone trying to deal with it while it's still small. It's always, they wait until it's big, and then you see the kinds of could you call it inspections that the mayor was doing yesterday, I saw on the news.
All right, thank you so much for your questions. Yeah, Mayor, over to you. The questions around Alex, Lillian Ngoyi, and the processes to check bylaw compliance.
Yeah, well, thanks, Clement, for the question. I just missed the name of your last caller. But nonetheless, let me start with him to respond on bylaw enforcement. And he's raising quite concerning issues that at times we leave the problems to grow and be bigger before we act. And that has been a weakness within the organization. And those weaknesses we're trying to address. You'd also realize that it's only now we have, in February, appointed the Chief of Police. We've therefore appointed a Director for Bylaws with the basic weaknesses within the organization. And we are fixing those weaknesses. And I think a month ago we appointed a Director who will focus on bylaw enforcement, putting together a proper unit within the JMPD that will help us to deal with bylaw enforcement. Over time, that unit was almost non-functional, and we are reviving it to ensure that we can deal with bylaws. Yes, we do deal from time to time with illegal connections of both electricity and water. City Power is able to pick up on their systems which area is now becoming a problem, and we go into those areas to do the disconnections. We've got a huge problem with meters being bypassed, especially electricity and water meters, by residents and even in your suburban areas, which is a big problem that we are faced with. And we're constantly addressing it by going out there to cut and force customers to therefore pay. The cost of Lilian Ngoyi, Wesley, it's extended. It's not only where the explosion happened that we are rebuilding or reconstructing. We took a view to refurbish or reorganize the entire Lilian Ngoyi, so that it also talks to what we call the complete street program, to ensure that we can extend the pavements, bring in trees, bring in street furniture, so that the entire street is complete. And that's what we are doing, and perhaps maybe that is why the costs might have went as high as 194, and that is what probably had done, because we did a whole new program as opposed to just addressing where the explosion happened. We said, let's address the whole street, and that's what we are doing on Lilian Ngoyi. And the first phase is where the explosion happened. We are completing it by the end of August, and we are on track. Just around the 1st of September, I'll be around there just to open the road once more. Which is correct. Alexander has a number of challenges. You know that we've had the Alexander Renewal Program, but the population continued to increase in that small space, which makes it also difficult. And of course, is correct. There's just disregard for bylaws. No one adheres to the rules. I mean, there are people who have built on pavements, who have built just over water pipes, sewer pipes, which also makes it difficult for the city departments to also do maintenance as and when there's water pipes or sewer bursts within the area. So the issue of Alexander would not give you a simple solution. It requires a comprehensive solution on how we're going to respond. One of the things we're trying to do is to acquire land just adjacent to Alexander, which I think that process has almost been complete. And the intention, therefore, is to try and decant Alexander and move other people into that area. And we built houses there. But we must also be aware that there were interventions of that nature over time. There's instances where people were moved from Alexander to Bramfisher. They were moved from Alexander to Deep Slot with an intention to try and decant the area and reduce the numbers. But the numbers never get reduced. It's a challenge, and it requires a comprehensive strategy. But for now, that's what we are doing. We hope that once we are ready, we'll start moving, and once we have raised enough money for top structures, then we will start building houses in that area.
Okay, Patrick, you calling us from Pretoria. What's your question quickly? Hi.
Hi, good morning. Clement, I sent you the email on this, on what I'm going to ask now. Mr. Mayor, regarding the transport challenges affecting persons with disability. I've stayed in Joburg, and I've noticed there's some challenges there, mostly in buses that can cater for those who are wheelchair bound and those who are blind or any other disability. There's quite a few buses to accommodate persons with disability. Okay. That's one. Two, Clement, the issue, Kenny Kunene, was he aware of that? Was he going to ask him to step down if he hasn't resigned? And when can we see him replacing the MMC? And is he aware of any corrupt activities that were taking place in that department that he was leading?
All right. Thank you so much for that, Patrick. Mayor, can take that.
Thanks. I think the city has been quite, over time, has been quite responsive to matters of disability. Perhaps the number of buses, as it says, may not be sufficient, but the buses are there, both in Area Vyaya and in Metro Bus. We've made sure that we cater for people with disability. So perhaps maybe what is experienced is that maybe they're not as sufficient as you would want to, but I know that we are replenishing our fleet at Metro Bus, and I think that matter will also be addressed there. But I'll raise it also with the department to say there's a concern about the number of our fleet that is responding to disability. In relation to newspaper articles around corruption in the Department of Transport, we've noted the matter, and of course we've taken steps that investigations will be undertaken in that area. It's not only transport. I think there was also concerns raised around City Power and all other entities, and we are acting on those. An investigation, a forensic investigation has been instituted, and we hope that the results will show whether indeed the extent at which the graft and corruption has been happening there. And I think it's our responsibility as government to act as and when there are allegations of this nature, so that we can get to the root cause. We try our level best as the city. We have established a disciplinary board that deals with matters of that nature, so that officials can be charged, can be disciplined. Over and above, we also have a department called GFIS, which helps us with investigations, and they can then present reports. And GFIS has been quite helpful in detecting some of the issues that are being raised either by whistleblowers or by staff within the organization. So we are acting on that matter. As it relates to the MMC of Transport, Councillor Kunene, I think all of us know that the matters came around last week, and he then resigned officially on Sunday as a councillor and also as an MMC, but the matters were already on our table as the mayor, and of course the president of his party then responded before we can respond that they were going to ask him to resign, which he duly did on Sunday, and I received the speaker received the letter of resignation, and the speaker informed me. At the right time, we will announce the still processes internally that we have to deal with, and once we are done, we'll give announcement on the replacements of the MMCs.
All right, 10 minutes now before 11 o'clock. Ephraim, Notemba, Malebu, Fernando, I'll start with your calls after the break.
Over the years, you've heard me ask Wealth Manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's continue with your calls. Please be quick and sharp so that we can get as many questions as possible and we can get the mayor to answer them. Ephraim, let's start with you. You are in Alex. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you and the mayor?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm good. Before I go to my 4 questions, the mayor...
I can't take 4 questions, Ephraim, ne? So I'm going to cut you if you don't do quick. So please give me 2 quick questions.
Okay. Clement, my questions are repeatedly mayor because he's moving on the stations. The same questions I've posted all of the time. The roads that connects Alex to Sandton is in Wynberg, the bridge. It's not open yet. It's been more than 5 years now. What's the problem with that? The containers in Alexander. People are fighting for those containers. Can't the mayor have a plan even today that they can do what with those containers? Because people are fighting for them. And the other thing, the e-hailing. What do you have a plan with the e-hailing? If you don't have, we are here as the leaders of e-hailing. We can assist the mayor what to do to help Johannesburg for its way of going.
Got it. Ephraim, Mayor, can I ask you to quickly respond to that and then I can go to other questions?
Let me deal with the question around containers quickly. There are people that were approved to be moved. I think some of them are from Madala Hostel as part of the refurbishment that we were doing. Unfortunately, there were other issues that happened with change of governments, etc., and delays. But where we are now, MMC Mabaso is now moving on the matter so that those that needed to be moved will be moved to those containers so that the work to refurbish Madala Hostel can begin immediately. So there's work that's being done in relation to that, and I can assure Ephraim he will see a change quite soon. We have also dealt with the issue around, I think he's asking around the issue of the road connection. The road will find the final decision as to when it's going to be opened, and we'll communicate that to the media. I suppose there's still some work that the department is doing around that part. We're not responsible as the city in terms of other public transport systems, as you know. But we'll raise this with the Department of National Transport as to how do we deal with the e-hailing issue, or perhaps we'll also ask Ephraim, as he says, he has proposals and suggestions to approach the city through the mayor's office, and we will take them to the Department of Transport.
Notemba in Johannesburg, quickly, what's your question? Hi.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
Hi.
As a citizen of Johannesburg, I do my best to report things that are illegal or seem illegal as I see them, but nothing gets done. And I'll go straight to one that is very, very disheartening. I have been reporting a squatter camp that is developing on the on-ramp from Selby to the M1, Mike 1. There is a person that is staying there, or people. You even find them having hanged their clothing. They cook, they do all sorts of things. I have reported, I don't know how many times. Nothing gets done. The traffic department just leave them. And I'm sure some traffic officers go past there now and then, all the time. Why should we as citizens do our best and the city not do what it's supposed to do?
Notemba, thank you for your question. Mayor?
Notemba, do not tire, and I appreciate the efforts that you are taking, and we'll take up the matter. I think in the last week there were raids that we did under the bridges to deal with people who live under the bridges. So we dealt with that, but the trick is how do we sustain it, and I think that has been the weakness within the department of our Johannesburg Metropolis Department, and we'll have to improve. I was saying to them this morning as we're dealing with illegal street traders in Jabulani, and there was the regional director was saying that they removed them today. 2 days later, they are all back. And I was saying to JMPD, the easiest thing to do is to deploy an officer. Just one officer around the block. It might make a difference. And so we need to change the way we do things and the way we think. So JMPD is one of our important stakeholder to help us deal with this thing. So Notemba, thanks. We'll attend to the matter immediately as we leave here, and the officers will go there, but it needs to be sustained.
Hi, Clement. Please ask the mayor what the plan is, because there's an informal settlement next to Eskom Megawatt Park. It's very close to the highway. It really is an accident waiting to happen. What is the city planning to do with that? And also on the M1, either going north or south, there are people who are living under the bridges. Literally between the M1 North and the M1 South, by Glenhove, there's people who have set up and are sleeping there. It's extremely dangerous. The police, Metro Police, will set up cameras there, but they will do nothing about those people.
Mayor? That's true. Megawatt Park is part of those that we are acquiring court orders, and we are also in conversation with Eskom. So we have approached the court so that we can get a court order, and we will deal with that. It's really on the freeway, and anything can happen, and she's correct. The second part, we are dealing with the bridges. As I said, I think 2 weeks ago, we had an operation dealing with people under the bridges. All what we need to do is to be consistent and sustain the operation. And that's all what we need. And then people will get used to say they can't be sleeping over there because the city will act. However, I must also say, Clement, there's a big problem in Johannesburg of homelessness. And I think we need everyone. We need private sector, we need government, civil society, so that all of us together can come in and say, what are the best solutions that we can put in place? We do have limited shelters, and they've also shown not to be effective, as some of the homeless people don't want to be in shelters. So there's a number of challenges about homelessness, which I think it requires all of society to respond and also contribute towards helping government that we find an everlasting solution on this matter.
I've got 3 more questions, Mayor. Can I put them to you maybe after the break, like 3 more questions from listeners, or are we running out of time?
No, it's okay.
Is it fine? Just 3 more.
We'll take
after the news. All right. Thank you so much. We've asked the Mayor of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, to stay with us for just 3 more minutes, just so I can at least put some of your questions up. So I'm going to take some WhatsApp voice notes, get the Mayor to respond, and then we'll get into our World of Work feature.
Hi, Clement. Can you ask the Mayor what's so difficult about controlling the taxi drivers and basically the taxi drivers on Winnie Mandela Drive going towards the 4 ways? They park, however, wherever there's a bus stop, it's their own parking. Now they occupy those lanes, and you end up using one lane. Why? What's the difficulty? You'll find them parking there, and there's a metro police down the road. They've got the roadblock. Why can't they just organize things?
Just a quick one, Mr. Clement. What is the city of Joburg doing, or what is their plan on people who will be pushing their trolleys on the streets, on the road, and disrupting the traffic, and at sometimes disturbing people who will be driving? Yeah, that's my short question. I just don't know how to put it in the right way. But what is the plan? Thank you. Last one here.
Hi, Clement. Dubuseng here. The mayor says there's a big problem of homelessness in Johannesburg. If they can deal with the drugs, all the drug dens and the people selling drugs and whatever, 75% of the problem in Johannesburg will be solved. All these things that are happening, it's because of illegal trades, the trading of drugs and illegal things that people are doing. Those people that don't want to be in shelters are the people that are using drugs. They are drug addicts, most of them. We are having problems with drug addiction in Johannesburg. So, Mayor, please, the drugs.
Mayor, your responses?
Thanks. Let's deal with the last part, which refers to homelessness and drugs. Homelessness is not necessarily as a result of people who are addicts. There's a number of categories of people who are homeless. But yes, I do take the point around drug and substance abuse, which is a major issue that is affecting the country, in fact. And there are a number of interventions that government is doing, including taking people to rehab with an intention to help them get out of drugs. The interventions that the city itself is doing on programs on substance abuse and drug abuse. And there's also constant raids. I think even when we did the raid at the Ginger Park, we did discover some drugs and some nyaupe. And one guy who was selling drugs was arrested on the spot. Unfortunately, the one with nyaupes was able to escape the police on the day. So there is some efforts that are continuously being done to deal with drugs, but society must also play a particular role. You do have people who are homeless because they thought they will find opportunities and greener pastures in Johannesburg, and they ended up being homeless. I do have met some of them who sleeps in our parks and everywhere else, who said they had to leave their rural homes to come to Johannesburg with the hope of finding employment so that they can feed their families at home. But when they arrived here, those greener pastures were not found. In terms of the taxis, we've got a serious problem with taxis. I think we're also closing about a few bus ranks inside the city which are illegal. We are acting on them. The one on William Nicol is something that at least they've alerted us, and I suppose JMPD probably is aware and we'll have a conversation with them as I leave the studio so that we can close that thing. They are not allowed to park anywhere. There's designated areas for taxis. There's ranks, and we have consistently communicated with taxi associations, who, by the way, we do have a very good relationship with the taxi associations in Johannesburg, and I will encourage the taxi association responsible for that route to also call order on their members so that they can comply with our laws. Otherwise, we'll have to react quite harshly, and we'll have to be forced to impound their vehicles, and that's what we'll do as we leave this place. But we'll first have a conversation with the taxi association. The issues of the waste pickers, we had a program to try and work with them so that we can direct their work. Of course, it's an economy. They are doing good work because they're also helping us with waste. And Pick It Up had a program to work with them, and I suppose the program is still there. We just have to try and find ways of providing proper trolleys and proper training so that they do not become a nuisance, especially to other road users, so that there's proper coordination. So I will take it up once more with Pick It Up so that they can reorganize the program itself. But we think it's a good program because there's an intervention that the waste pickers are doing, and it has created an economy, it has created some opportunities for those that are dealing in waste. The people in the waste industry normally say waste it's money. So I suppose it will help those that are unemployed and find ways for them to survive. But let's do it properly. So I will speak to Pick It Up so that we can coordinate the program better.
All right. Mayor, thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for giving us an extra couple of minutes, and we'll bring you back at some point when you have time for some more engagements with our listeners. I really appreciate your time.
No, anytime. I'm happy to be at 7:02.
All right.